Okay, question 11. Express 9 over root 6 with a rational denominator. Give your answer in the simplest form. Okay. So 9 divided by root 6. The first thing you want to do here is multiply through by root 6 over root 6. Okay. So rational denominator means we don't want to have a surd on the bottom as an irrational number. Okay. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's like absurd. Okay. Irrational. We want a rational number, so we need to try and get rid of the surd. Okay, so we're going to times it by itself. That's the easiest way to make sure we get rid of it. Okay, so that's going to give us 6 on the bottom and then 9 root 6 on the top. So because we multiplied the fraction by a fraction that's the same top and bottom, we've not altered the fraction in a way. Okay, if we were to just to times the bottom by root 6, that's what we changes it. By timesing the top and the bottom, we're kind of rearranging it. We're not changing the true essence of the number. Okay, it'd be like saying a half times 2/2, or 3/3. You're effectively just timesing that. That boils down to 1. Okay, um, if we do that with 2/4, that's still effectively the same as a half, just in a different format. So that's me waffling on. So yeah, first step times it by root 6 over root 6. So that's our first bit. Fantastic. Now we'll try and simplify through. So 9 and 6, they've obviously can divide by 3. So that's going to give us 3 root 6 divided by 2. And let's think, so root 6, we can also break that up into root 3 root 2. But I don't think that's very helpful, is it? I think that's as far as we can go. I'm just going to double check the marking scheme there. Yeah, 3 root 6 over 2 is as far as we go. So our first mark is for this point, and our second mark is for that. Sometimes these are a wee bit trickier, and you've got to go through the surds a bit more. So sometimes what will happen is you might end up having to reduce this surd more. So minus root 6 we couldn't really do much with, but if we got root 40, for example, that'd be the same as root 20 times root 2. And then root 20, you'd say, well, that's the same as root 4 root 5 times root 2. Well, root 4 that's actually 2, so that's 2 root 5 times root 2. Yeah, so that's 2 root 2 root 5. Okay, and usually they boil down to something quite nice. But remember your surd rules there, okay, where you're remembering your factors in the middle. Okay. The other surd rule to remember would be, say you had root 48 divided by 3. Okay, that's the same as root 48 divided by root 3. Okay, so that's another good one to remember. And one more. Oh yeah, if we need to add surds, okay, so if we've got 2 root 2 plus 3 root 5, we can't add them, okay? But if we've got 2 root 2 plus 3 root 2, that's going to give us 5 root 2, okay? So it's 2 of something plus 3 of something is obviously 5 of something, okay? So yeah, don't forget that. But usually the thing in these questions is to remember this step, okay? It's very important to get rid of your irrational denominator, and then to think about your factors. Okay, think really hard about your factors. And you're basically trying to get down to as close to basically down to prime numbers usually. Okay, so that's that. Nice one. Question 12. So given that cost 60 is a half, calculate the value of cost 240, and it's for 1 mark. Okay. Now, like I said again, guessing it's for 1 mark. Well, if I was a guessing man, I'd be saying something like a half, or negative a half, or 0, something like that. That'd be a decent guess, right? But this question is all about the all smokers take cancer, or the cast diagram, as some people call it, or cats or whatever. But yeah, all smokers take cancer is what I was told 20 years ago. So these are our different quadrants. In this quadrant, everything is positive. In this quadrant, sine is positive, here tan is positive, and here cos is positive. Okay, so we've been told that cos of 60 is 0.5. Okay, so that's kind of like, if we draw a line here, there's 60 degrees, and we know that if we've got our cos So that's 180. There's 60 there. Okay. So we're saying that that value there, cost is 60, is equal to 1/2. Okay. We want to know what 240 is. Okay. Now 240 is going to be, there's 180. There's student 240 is going to be in here, isn't it? Okay. So right away I'd be thinking it's going to be negative, and it's probably going to be negative 1/2 because there's only one more question. But the way to prove that would be to say, well, there's 60. Okay. If we were in the second quadrant, okay, we'd be doing 180 minus 60, so we get 120. Okay. So that'd be 60 in there. So the whole angle from here to here would be 120. Okay, that's in the second quadrant. And that would give us 1/2 as well. Okay. But it would give us negative 1/2. Okay, so that'd be the kind of number down there. In the third quadrant, again it's going to be negative, and this time we're doing 60 plus 180. So that's going to be 240. So if we go all the way around, I was doing a different colour this time. If we go all the way around from here to there, that number is 180 plus 60, which is 240. Now, because it's still the 60, not the 60 degrees, just in a different quadrant, it's going to be 1/2. But it's going to be negative because it's in this quadrant. Okay? And that's that number. That's that bit over there. Okay? If we were to go into the third quadrant, we're doing 360 minus 60. So that would give us 300. So again, if we go all the way around, that would give us 300. So again, at 300, we're still getting 1/2, but this time it is positive because we're in the fourth quadrant. Okay, so the answer to this one simply is just minus 1/2. Yeah, still 1/2, but it's minus because of that quadrant. Now again, that's two different ways of proving it. You could have just looked at this and kind of thought to yourself, well, I know it's going to be minus, and it's only one mark. Okay, I'll just guess minus 1/2 just by looking at this graph. Okay, but this is the kind of the way of working out exactly. Okay, just check. So I've said minus 1/2. Actually, they've said minus 0.5 in the marking scheme, but I don't think you get penalised for writing minus 1/2. So yeah, not too tricky. Just remembering your quadrants, okay? So I'll just summarise them down here. So it's all smokers take cancer. Look at our degree in there. This one is 180 minus degrees. In here it's going to be 180 plus degrees. And in here it's going to be 360 minus the degrees. Okay, and that's to give us the full number all the way around. Okay, and you can just correspond that with your sketch if you want as well. All right. Okay, I think we've just got time for the next question. So the diagram's got a triangular prism, and it shows you some coordinates. So the only thing it's not shown is on a diagram here. So it's telling us AD is equal to AE. So where's AD? Okay, so that length is equal to that length. Okay, so it's like an isosceles triangle. So I'm just going to put like a little, just to remind me, I'm going to put like a little mark. Okay, so they're the same length. Right? DC is equal to 8. So this length is equal to 8. And the edges are parallel. Okay, cool. So that's me kind of ticked off all of that information. So this is it. So write down the coordinates of B and C. B and C. So where's B? B is over here. So what we need to do is work out an x coordinate, a y coordinate, a z coordinate. In fact, I'm just going to put that below here. Okay, so B and C. So to get to B, let's work the way back. If we were to bring it down, okay, that's what I see when I see B. I've gone along this much on the x-axis, I've gone along that way on the y-axis, and up that way on the z-axis. Okay, so the height of this prism is 5. I can see that value because that's z. Okay, so I know this height is 5. So if the height is 5, I know the z value's got to be 5. This length is 8, so I know the y value's got to be 8. So just working out the x-axis might be a little bit trickier. So let's think. So we've got 2 here, 4 here, that number then is going to be 6, isn't it? So that's going to be 6, 0, 0. So the middle of this, that's going to be in line at 4, I would say. Okay. I'm saying that's 6 because this will be symmetrical. Okay. That length is the same as that length. So it'll be 2, 4, then 6. So that'll be 4, 0, 0 for that point there, then 6, 0, 0. So the x coordinate would be 4. So I'm going along 4, along 8, and then up 5. Okay. 4, 8, 5. So you get 1 mark for that, obviously. I've written that in the wrong bit. That should be B. And for C, let's find where C is over here at the far end. So how long do I have to go over? Well, I've got to go over 6 because it's in line here. Yeah, so go over 6, go along 8, and I'm not going up any. Okay, so that's going to be 6, then 8, and then 0. Okay, nice and easy. So you get a mark for each of them. So just mark on the diagram what you know. Okay, they've given us this point to tell us what the height is. The only tricky thing, I suppose, is working out what D is. Okay, so 2, 4, and then 6 because it's the same length. Okay, this chart, this kind of this face of the prism. Okay, that length there. If we cut it in half, obviously then this length here is going to be the same as that. Okay, so 2x. Okay, so that's 2, that's 4, that's going to be 6. Okay, if it was 2 and then 6, we know it's 4 to the middle, so add another 4 on, be 10, gets us to that end. Okay, so that's 4 and 4. Okay, so that was the only slightly difficult bit I'd say in there. Rest is quite straightforward. Right, good stuff.